With the object tag, we can actually use something other than images. One of the common uses that I've mentioned is plugins. So I'm going to come in here into my page below my H1 and I want to add a plugin. I want to use the Silverlight plugin for Microsoft, but you could use Flash, you could be using a Java applet as well. So I'm going to paste in this object tag so you don't have to watch me type it. What you'll see is we have the object tag, and then we have a couple different pieces of information. So for the data, I'm telling it that this is a particular content type, that this is an application, and it happens to be a Silverlight application. I'm also giving it that in the type, telling it that it's a Silverlight application. And then I'm just setting the width and the height of the application so I can put it on the page. Now, if we save this, and we went and tried to run it, it's not going to work for us. You can see we have a blank space here, but it doesn't actually render anything because we haven't given it critical information that it needs. It doesn't know, for example, where the application is or where the code is for this. And for that, we need to use the param element. This is for parameters that we want to pass in to the particular object. So we have on these a name and value. So I'm going to give it a value that is the path to this particular code base or the package that contains the code that we want to run. So for Silverlight, that's a zap, and we're going to give it that param. And now if we save and run, you'll see now we've got a Silverlight object here running. We'll get a marquee message saying hello HTML objects. Now I would not recommend that you use plugins to put marquees on your page. I'm just using this as a demonstration here. Flash, Silverlight, Java applets are all very powerful for building an application functionality that you might need. But this does give you an example of how we can reference that object. And if I right click, you'll see that I get a specific context menu for Silverlight, and I can pull up the Silverlight information here. Now the param, this particular parameter was used to pass information because Silverlight needed it to initialize that, but I can also pass parameters into my applications. So I'm going to, for Silverlight, I can pass in init params. So I can say the text message equals do not use marquees in your HTML, in case it was unclear before. This particular application knows to look at this special input parameter. This is a Silverlight parameter, and it's going to be able to parse this out and see that the text message I want it to display is found here. So now we can see do not use marquees in your HTML. Just to be perfectly clear about how you don't want to abuse these technologies. So the object tag allows us to specify a particular information about what kind of object we want to display, the type of that, we can size it, and then the params allow us to initialize those items. You're often going to use the source in here, and you'll initialize Silverlight and Flash and Java applets all slightly differently. I'm not going to go into the details for every one of those. We do have courses on Silverlight, of course, where you can find out more about how to do that. You'll need more information than what we have here on HTML to go into using applets or using Flash, but now you have the basis to understand how to insert that with the object tag. I mentioned that we wanted to have a fallback. What if my browser doesn't support this particular kind of application? What if it doesn't have the Silverlight plugin? Well, inside the object here, we can put any kind of markup. So I could come in here and put a span, and I could say, you do not seem to have Silverlight. We can save that. Now, of course, my Google Chrome does have Silverlight here. So I'm going to go and open this with Firefox, where I've got Silverlight disabled. And I'll pull that onto the screen. You can see that the browser's smart enough to render the content within the object tag if it can't render what it's supposed to with the object tag. So it knows that, hey, you don't seem to have Silverlight is the content I want to show if it can't do what's inside the object tag. Now there's a couple of different things you can do with this. Certainly you can have richer content than just my span. So what's often used as an example for Silverlight is you can have a link here. You can see we've got the anchor tag with an href out to Microsoft site. We'll go get a particular version of Silverlight, and that link is wrapping an image. So here you can see an absolute URL to Microsoft servers to get the image. It has the alt. And so if we save that, bring back up Firefox and refresh, now you'll see we get the image. It's a link, and so if I click on it, it'll take me out to download the silverlight.exe and open that. So instead of showing me the object content, it can show me whatever markup I put inside of the object tag so that I can give somebody a great fallback experience. Now I happen to have put in here inside the object tag just a link for somebody to go and do something, but you can also nest the object tags. So maybe you've got Silverlight here and you want as your fallback Flash, or vice versa. Or maybe you want to have a Flash here, but if they don't support that, you want to put a separate object tag in here that simply points to an MPEG video, for example, or different video format that somebody could use. You can nest those object tags as well to have fallbacks to different kinds of plugins or different kinds of native playback. So the object tag allows you to extend the browser or allows you to go beyond text and images to include things such as video and other content.